So awesome, man. That's good. So now that we've recapped that, I think that's great information for viewers to see from your retrospective, because even though your experiences, you wouldn't want to change what your experiences are. They made you what you are. But it is good for people who are starting out to see, like, okay, yeah, keep that in mind. Because it's hard. You're always going to get those voices. You're always going to hear things from other people. But you just got to tune it out and stay focused.
The other thing, too, actually, which goes in line with this, is start from the bottom and work your way up.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of people that think like, oh, I can get in right now.
Oh, yeah.
At X level when you're not there yet. And the thing is, especially in this industry, everybody and their mom wants to get into this industry.
Yeah.
And so
they think it's something else than what it is, to be honest. I still get, oh, you play video games all day. Yeah. That's not what I do. No. That's not what I do all day at all.
I look forward to the point where I get to. But it's not, yeah. I'm like, oh, that guy's playtest, yes. But it's not common. It's not like you do it for 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of what people need to kind of understand is that you have to, like, I interned, I wasn't paid. I drove, so I lived in Orange County, and I would drive to LA a couple times a week to intern at these places, right? Unpaid. I knew that I wasn't, like, there may be an opportunity for a job at some
it wasn't
point.
Your motivation, which is great.
Yeah.
That's how internships should be.
But the funny thing is, I read a lot on social media or, on LinkedIn, where a lot of people are saying, it's bullshit that you have to work for free to be able to get in.
Yes, I've seen those. And I'm surprised they're putting it on social media, because it's not anonymous. What are you doing? You're already painting yourself as like someone that isn't going to work well with others because you have this chip on your shoulder already.
Yeah. And I think that I'm not the type of person to be like, millennials.
Yeah.
Because there are people in every generation that think this way.
Yeah, that's true.
And so I think that there's a lot of, the thing is you've got to be able to have that persistence. You also have to understand that you got to start from the bottom and you got to work your way up.
Yeah. And
so unless you are just mega talented and you start out in animating, and because you were 4 and you were animating already, right? Then holy shit, this is a prodigy.
There's still flaws in that, though. Like, I've seen people who have been amazing lack social skills, lack being able to communicate their work or communicate with the team. So there's still something about still starting at the bottom and understanding, because if you lack in certain areas, you can still make that up from working with a team. You may be amazing, but let your work speak for itself like it already has been, but then learn the soft skills, learn how to communicate, and that's only going to propel you further, faster. Mm-hmm. Because if your work is already amazing and you just need to learn how to, come out of your shell or be able to take criticism from other people, you're going to really climb the ladder fast.
Yeah.
But when you start from the bottom, it does take time. I've been in this industry for 20 years. I think you're going close to something similar.
13.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where it is good to start at the bottom. A lot of times, a lot of people equate starting at the bottom to not like internships. I did internships too, which are amazing. That's why I thought it was a great idea that you did You did more than me. I only did one internship. There wasn't much being offered in Pittsburgh. But when people don't go the internship route and they just start working, it still kind of comes across as like you need to understand what discipline you want to go in, and then starting from the bottom will just get your feet wet. A lot of people think that starting from the bottom is like starting with QA. Because, you'll meet a lot of people in this industry who start with QA, which are the people who are playing video games all day, but they're doing it in a sense of trying to find bugs and errors and things that'll hurt the project, and they're trying to help you fix those things by pointing them out. And a lot of people will start in QA and then go into production, and then from production, their passion is, I want to be a designer, when they've already spent, X amount of years doing something that doesn't equate over to design too well.
Right.
It allows them visibility in what design is and how whatever game they're working on shows them this is why they made those choices. But I've experienced a lot of pitfalls of having people in positions that have started in QA but wanted to be something else, but didn't start at the bottom in that discipline and work their way up. They try to, and this isn't everyone, because I know I might get shit for this, but they went around and then try to insert or leave a position and get hired somewhere else for a title, and then ride that wave as far as they can.
Right.
And that's one of the things that's like, QA is one aspect of it, and you can be an amazing QA. QA is definitely needed in our industry, and you can be amazing in QA, but it is important, like what you're saying, to start at the bottom in that discipline and learn.
And if you
what
want to
need.
learn about how to make a video game, QA is the best spot to do it, because
Yes.
you touch so many different, like there's QA for, yes, if I jump against this wall for 400 times on the 357th, I can jump through it. I figured it out. But then there's also, art QA and figuring out how things work on those pipelines and how they are going in, and that you learn through. I mean, before I was in the games industry, like I didn't know what a rig was, right? But you start figuring out like, oh, what's a rig? What's a rig? It's basically like a skeleton that's on the inside of 3D models that you can pivot and move. And
It's pretty much your armature.
yeah,
Like if you're doing sculpting and stuff.
exactly, right. So setting that up, but I didn't know that, right? When I started at the bottom and started hearing about these things, like, oh, okay, you start learning how games are made, and then it allows you to kind of make all the mistakes where it's not going to hurt anybody. And so for me, I think QA is a great spot to start, and then kind of formulate within QA what it is. Do you want to do art? Do you want to get into animation? Do you?
Right. No, and I totally agree with that. I think that's because that QA is one of the more jobs that has more entry positions available to just get your feet wet.
Just how do you get in?
I'm specifically talking about the people who go in QA. They'll do QA for 10 years, jump into being a producer for a year, jump into what their main goal was for another year, and you're like, oh, how is this working?
Yeah.
So, but I digress.